You're a producer. And what you have done is taken an original concept. You have either told somebody what you want it to look like and they have drawn artwork of it, they've written stories about it, or you yourself have created that persona and brought it into the world. You've brought a totally new idea into the world, and that's what makes us different. You generate something new. Other fandoms may generate what's called fan stories, fanzines, things like that. You guys actually produce brand new content. And something you should be very proud of, because there are very few fandoms that do that. I think only steampunk works under the same kind of guidelines, that being that original. So that's why furry as a group is very different. In that respect, furry conventions are also very different. We have different rules and different kinds of etiquette on how we behave, how we treat other people, especially fursuiters. There are special rules for fursuiters, and how we organize the convention as a whole. One of the things that is similar is we try to abide by a rule called 621. Has anybody heard that rule before? A few people, good. 621 is a rule that was created by Dr. Passavoy, and he has been in the sci-fi fandom for a very long time. The numbers stand for 6 hours of sleep, 2 meals per day, and I'm going to stress 2 good meals per day, and 1 shower per day. There are reasons for this, and it's not just to be cute, and it's not just to save everybody's noses, which, if you're a fursuiter, 1 shower per fursuit wearing is probably the better rule as opposed to per day. But let's start with the 6 hours of sleep. Why is 6 hours of sleep important? It's a biological thing. When you are tired and you are exhausted and you're not getting enough sleep, your immune system goes down. There are people here from other countries, other parts of the world, and we have people here from, I believe, 47 states now. So we have people from all over the world, and they are bringing with them a multitude of germs. Germs that you may not have been exposed to. With those germs, if your immune system goes down, you could be exposed to 3, 4, 5 different variants of the flu or of a cold or a cough or something else. When they all get together and they start mingling inside you and you start feeling sick, you develop a disease we generically call con crud. It's a cute name, however, people that have suffered from severe con crud know it's no laughing matter. It feels like you're gonna die. You have a sore throat from heck, trying to use polite language. You have a terrible sore throat. Your body aches. You could be running like I did coming back from Anthrocon, a fever of 102. And it knocks you out for quite a while. You can get really, really sick. Now, for me, my kind of thing is I have a compromised immune system based on all the medications I'm on. So I have to be very careful. I'm constantly eating, constantly taking in fluids and making sure I have cough drops and stuff. But please, get enough sleep so that your immune system doesn't go down. That will help keep you healthy. The worst thing in the world is being patient zero. It's what we call the first person to get sick, spreading it to a whole bunch of people, and then you and all your friends are sick either on Sunday or leaving the convention. It's the worst thing you want. You want to feel great when you're leaving the convention. So please, 6 hours of sleep a night, minimum. I know you want to stay up until 2 o'clock and then wake up super early the next morning and get your spots in the dealer's den and all that, but please get enough sleep. Take a nap if you need to. I know it's hard to do at a con, but please get rest. 2 good meals per day. 2 good meals per day is not Pixie Sticks and Mountain Dew, which I've seen people do. The reason why is as you are working and doing things throughout the convention, you're walking around, you're expending energy. Biologically, your body needs certain things to function normally. I know this sounds like we're in school, but you would be surprised how many people really do forget to eat at furry conventions. At almost every single convention I've ever been to, including Megaplex, come Sunday, there's a person that feels like they're gonna pass out, they're gonna be lightheaded. And when they do that, and I see Yappy Fox walking in the back of the room, everybody, big round of applause, one of the founders of Megaplex. Without him, this would not happen. So if you ever see him, just say hi and a big thank you to him. But like I said, there are people that will go through conventions and they are so excited and happy and bouncing around, they forget to eat. And come Sunday, they feel lightheaded, they go into con ops, or they say, I feel sick, I don't know what's wrong. First thing people will ask them, well, when was the last time you had something to eat? Friday morning. Well, what have you eaten? Have you eaten anything since then? Yeah, I had a candy bar. Yeah, I drank, I think, a Mountain Dew. Yeah, I had some Monster energy drink, something like that. Your body cannot function on that. And come Sunday, if you don't treat it right, you will start to feel it, and it doesn't feel good. So please, eat something with protein at least twice a day, whether it's eggs, trail mix, beef jerky, someone's nibbling on the front. You want to eat something a little substantial. There are plenty of good things to eat out here that the hotel restaurant is putting together for you. There's DoorDash and Uber Eats. There are hotel restaurants. There is a Four Diamond restaurant in this hotel. It's one of the only ones in the area. So if you have a little bit of extra cash and you want to eat a good steak or a good pork chop, the chop shop out here is great. So get two meals per day. The last thing is the shower. There are people who forget to shower, or they just don't think it's important. They don't normally take one shower a day. The human olfactory system, your nose, is one of the worst in the animal kingdom. We have one of the worst senses of smell because we become acclimated to smells as they happen. Have you ever noticed how when you're smelling baking bread or something really good, after just a minute or so you can't smell it anymore? The smell is still there, you just become used to it. Same thing happens with bad smells. Have you ever been in an area that's really stinky and you're like, oh my God, and then after a minute or so, it just doesn't seem as bad? Because all of the little sensory cells in your nose are filling up with that smell and you become acclimated to it. Same thing happens when you're around stinky people. You get used to your own body funk. You can't smell it. However, someone that's just come in contact with you in the elevator most certainly can. And how many people have ever run into an elevator and, oh boy, fanboy in the back who hasn't showered in 2 days and has smelly t-shirt, and you're like, It happens. Please, take at least one shower a day. If you're fursuiting, shower immediately after you get out. It only takes a couple of minutes. Everybody will thank you, and it will help keep you healthy. So that's what 621 is, basically. It's a good like thing to keep you happy, keep other people around you happy. Now I'm going to talk about a couple of things with con badges and youngsters, and then we're going to go over fursuiter etiquette. But one of the things, and this is something that is super important to everybody, and this is something we've kind of gleaned over the years. There are things that you have on your person that are very valuable to you. This is one of them, your cell phone. Some people have computers, some people have cameras, some people have other pieces of technology, but your cell phone has become people's lifeblood. These get lost all the time. I can't tell you how many times people turn in cell phones to con ops. When you describe a cell phone, what is it? It's an iPhone. Which iPhone? iPhone 4, iPhone 5, iPhone 9. Okay. How can I identify it? What can you call it? Battery's dead. How do you identify it? Put something like a sticker on the back of your phone. I know a lot of people don't do it, but put something in the case. Something to help identify the phone. If the phone still has battery power, best thing in the world you can do, change your lock screen to have a picture of your persona, a name, or an identifying word on it. You would not believe how easy it is to retrieve a phone when someone says, I've lost my cell phone. What is it? What kind of phone is it? It's a Samsung Galaxy. Okay? Is there any way to identify it? If you turn on the lock screen, it has a picture of a big blue dog wearing a red shirt and a gold collar. You turn on the lock screen, it says, Awoo. Turn on the lock screen, it says, if lost, please contact this email address. You can do that. It's the easiest thing in the world, and it will help you get your cell phone back to you as fast as possible. Change your lock screen for the duration of the weekend. Then you can put it right back as soon as the con's over if you don't want to have that. But it's an easy way for you and your cell phone to get reunited. And trust me, people freak out when they lose their cell phone. It's like your life is in there now. So the easiest thing to do, make sure you can identify it very quickly. People are good about turning them in, by the way. Very, very few times have we had someone lose a cell phone and it didn't get turned into con ops. More often than not, we have one or two left over after the convention that people just didn't think about going and trying to find. So cell phones, that's a big, big thing. The other thing, do we have any parents that are in here? Okay, I do see a few. Are your youngsters with you? Please raise your hands. We are super happy that you're here. We want you to have a good time. There is something that happened at the convention in Pittsburgh this year that was disheartening and terrifying. And I'm going to relay this story to you now so the youngsters will understand exactly what happened. There was a young person who went out with a group of friends who were very trusted. The parents knew them, so they stayed out. They were going to go out and dance and whatnot, and the parents didn't go with them. They said, we're tired, we're going to go to bed. Just come back to the hotel room. Here's your hotel key. You know, just be back by 9:30. Person did not show up all night. Parents got into con ops the next morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, totally freaked out. For lack of a better term, Allegheny County sheriffs were involved, the hotels were involved, the convention center was involved. What had happened? The youngster's cell phone battery had died. They did not know their parents' number by heart, so they didn't know how to call them. And they were so tired they actually just fell asleep in their friend's hotel room. Please don't do that. Keep your cell phone with you and keep it charged. Make sure you have on a piece of paper, if you've not memorized your parents' phone number, memorize it or put it on a piece of paper and keep it in your pocket or in your shoe or your sock. Make sure if something happens and you're going to be out late, call your parents, please. It takes 10 seconds. You can borrow someone else's phone and just say, Mom, Dad, my cell phone battery died and they have a different kind of charger. I'm just calling to let you know I might be a little bit late, or I'm really tired, can I stay? I'm in this hotel room with my friend, can I stay here? I don't feel comfortable coming back because I'm just so sleepy. Just let your parents know what's going on. You will be surprised how grateful your parents will be, or they will come help you get back or what have you. They won't be angry with you, but please do not get to the point where here in Orlando we have to call Orange County and have sheriffs looking all over for you. All you gotta do is just call your parents and keep your cell phone on you, if you have one. If not, keep the phone number handy and have someone call for you. Parents, this is now on your side. If you are separated from your youngsters, if they're running around in the con space and you can't find them, there's no reason to panic. First thing you can do, contact security. Let them know that you have a youngster and you don't know where they are, they got separated, you're on the lookout for them. You can make sure you have their badge number, because we can have people looking for random youngsters with a badge number. Also, put your telephone number, your contact information on file with ConOps. If someone finds a youngster who's been separated and is having a panic attack, we can have them go to ConOps, they can call you. It is much easier if you have your number with your registration information. We can look it up if you put it on file. They can tell us your real name. We can call you and let you know what's going on. This is for the benefit and your peace of mind. We are here to help you have a good time. We have things in place to help you if you have people with you that might need assistance. If you have someone with you that might need a little bit of help, they might be a little mentally challenged, they might have a little bit of a learning disability, that's okay. Make sure you have put your contact information on file so that ConOps can reach you. We can get in contact with you and we can help resolve situations so that everyone is happy and nobody gets like really freaked out, okay? It's a bad situation that happened, we're gonna learn from it and we're gonna make sure it never happens again. So we've put things in place to keep everybody happy. So that's something really, really important that we go over. For those of you that might have a situation happen, I said this at opening ceremonies and I will reiterate it every single time. Megaplex has a zero tolerance policy of anybody being harassed, anybody being bugged, or anybody being put in a position where they feel uncomfortable. And I will say this personally, I don't care if they are a person of a different race, if they are a person of a different gender or gender identity, if they are a person of a different orientation, or they are just someone you don't like. You do not harass people here and we don't tolerate it at all. Every single one of you is important to us. If someone comes over here and makes you feel uncomfortable, you let us know and we will deal with it right away. Your comfort, every single one of you, is important. And every one of you has a right to feel safe here, and we are going to do our damnedest to make sure you do. Forgive my language, but that is something we don't tolerate. If someone comes up and starts bugging you or you feel uncomfortable, we have a security team. They are usually wearing polos that have green stripes, or they are green shirts, or they'll just be in a general staff shirt. Find a staffer and let us know what's going on, and we will address it right away, because we want you to have a good time, okay? So please, do not feel like you're being intimidated. Let us know if someone is doing something that makes you uncomfortable. We want you to have a great weekend, okay? It's really important to us. So we have our security team. They are in green, but we also have general staffers. They're in the blue shirts, and they have staff on the sleeve. And if you see someone with a shirt like this on, even if we say we're off duty, we will find someone to help you out. We do not pass the buck that easily. If we're not on duty, we will find someone who can help you. And there might be reasons why. There might be medical reasons why people say, I'm sorry, I'm off duty. Let me find someone who can help you. We will find someone who can help you. So, also, if you lose anything, lost and found is in con ops. It's right by the con store. If you go down the hallway, right next to the con store, it's the first door on the left. It's very easy to find. It's right in the middle of the con space. And that's where you can go also if there's something, you're having trouble. You have a question, you have a problem, go to con ops. They're there to help you. So, fursuiters and elevator etiquette. And I see a fursuiter right in the middle over here. I'm going to ask you to please come up to the front of the stage, because I need your help. Yes, you come on up here. Big round of applause for a fursuiter who didn't know they were going to help us out. Come on up here, my friend. Let me see. So is your name Arch? That is your character name? Okay, cool. Arch, you can just stand right here. You're in a good spot, right here. Arch is a fursuiter. Fursuiters have these big fuzzy heads on and paws and tails. Some of them have full bodies and the feet. Arch is what we call partial. Nothing wrong with partial fursuiting. It's a lot more comfortable, it's a lot cooler, and it's a lot less expensive. How many people know how expensive fursuits really are? Anyone want to take a guess right now at what is on record officially as the most expensive fursuit in the furry fandom? You know, so I'm not going to call on you. What do you think? $14,000. Okay, it's actually higher.
Yep. Just shy of $20,000.
You are correct. $18,900 is currently the most expensive known fursuit. That doesn't mean there isn't one that's more. That's the one we quote. It's in Europe. Fursuits tend to be a labor of love for a lot of people. Now, did you make this yourself, or did you? Okay, so you commissioned it, or someone made it for you. Some people save lots of time and lots of money to get fursuits. They're not cheap. The average cost of a fursuit from some of the more prominent vendors now is right around between $3,000 and $5,000. Used to be between $2,000 and $3,000. You know, it's shifted upward. Just inflation and costs and everything else are going up. Arch has a couple of unique things going on because you're wearing a head. I'm going to ask you to look straight ahead. I am going to do something, and I need another person. If you would help me, please. I need you to stand on the other side of Arch. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to touch you. I need you to stand right here. And I want you to hold up your left hand, look like you're doing the number 1. I'm going to do the same here. Come right up to Arch. We are going to start moving our hands into Arch's field of vision. And Arch, I want you to raise both your left and your right paw. When you can see both of our fingers like this, when they come into your field of vision and you can see them, I want you to raise your left and right hand. Okay, and move slowly so that it doesn't like, can you see it already? You can see his? Okay, so his is right there. I'm going to move mine in. I want you to say when you can see it. Right there. Anything that is outside of our fingers is something Arch cannot see. Now I'm going to show you, I'm going to pull your hand over here. Keep going. I'm going to pull your hand based on where my fursuit's field of vision is, right about there, to right about here. This is my fursuit's field of vision. Anything on the left or the right of those fingers cannot be seen. We're going to do the same thing, top and bottom. I want you to do the top, I'm going to do the bottom. When you can see the top, raise your right hand. When you can see the bottom, raise your left hand, okay? Go. Right there? Okay. Anything above or below that is outside of Arch's field of vision. So imagine someone small walking up to Arch. Arch is walking and there's a trash can in front of him, or her, or there's some kind of a chair coming up. Arch can't see it. Arch could get very injured very quickly if people are like putting things in their way, they're running up trying to give hugs from the side or from the back. We actually have had people dislocate knees. We have had injured backs, we've had torn ligaments. One fursuiter actually spent an entire weekend at Megaplex after Friday in a wheelchair because they tore their ACL from somebody pushing them and they fell backwards. Fursuiters they're cute. Also, they are breakable. We are real people, however, because we can't see what's happening, we are much more prone to injury. So please, I said this in opening ceremonies, a costume is not consent. Please approach a fursuiter. If you want to hug them or shake their hands or take pictures, please approach them from the front where they can see you and ask politely. Now, usually all I have to do is just go, like this. Can I take a picture? And if Arch wants to take a picture, he'll say yes. But if Arch is doing something like this, Arch, if you're hot and you need to go somewhere, yeah. If they start doing this, then they're like shaking no, and they start doing this, they actually could be overheating. Does anybody know how hot it can get inside these heads, especially in Florida? Do you know what the temperature actually can be within 10 minutes of putting a head on? Not 200 degrees. 212 is boiling water. You're almost right on the nose. 125 degrees inside the head within 15 minutes. And that is because most of your body heat is radiated from the soles of your feet, the palms of your hands, and the vast majority of it, the top of your head. Top of Arch's head is now covered with a lot of upholstery foam and fur. It's basically insulated, just like a house. And has anybody ever been in a house in Florida summer, in an attic? You want to sit in that for 2 hours? That's what Arch is going to be doing, or what a fursuiter is doing. They are standing and walking around in an area where most of their body heat is trapped, and they are having hot air coming in and out because that's what they're breathing. That's why we have headless lounges and headless zones. We have water bottles and things that you can drink with straws. If a fursuiter is starting to overheat, we give them priority on a lot of things, including elevators. And Arch, thank you very much. You can go ahead and sit down. Everybody, big round of applause for Arch helping with that. Thank you very much. Your name is what? Ice? Thank you, Ice. Really appreciate it. Furry Conventions has something else that's really different, and it's elevator etiquette. If you see a fursuiter waiting for an elevator, it is typical, and it is actually customary at furry conventions to move them to the front of the line, no matter how long you've been waiting. And that's because a lot of old school fursuiters will not take their heads off unless they're about to die. Quite literally. They want to keep the character intact. For some people, there is a legitimate reason. Many of you may not be aware of this, but at many of the larger furry conventions, there are celebrities that walk around among you and you don't know it. There are CEOs of Fortune 500 corporations that walk around among us, and they're in fursuit. At one very prominent convention on the West Coast, there was a fursuiter that was walking around and went into the headless lounge and just had to take her head off. Everybody was really shocked when it was Margaret Cho. Margaret was just walking around, did not want any attention. It was her way of blowing off some steam and hanging around with some of her friends. And she could do it without being harassed as a celebrity. She was just one of the crowd. It's the beautiful thing about furry, is once a person puts on a fursuit, a very miraculous thing happens, and I'll talk about it again in 1 second. But there are very famous people that do sometimes appear here. Musicians, stand-up comedians, actors, politicians, very well-known wealthy people can sometimes show up, and you don't know it. And they want it that way. This is their way of just keeping it real, of having some fun. They create a character, they can play for a weekend and go back to their regular lives. That's what a lot of us do. So please be polite to people that are in fursuit. If they are standing waiting for an elevator, kindly allow a group of them to go ahead of you. It is customary with furry conventions. It's been that way ever since I started going in 1999. And it works really, really well. Fursuiters actually stay happy, and they tend to take a lot more pictures, and they interact with you a lot more. Keeps them happy too. So one thing that I was going to mention about fursuiting and furry in general, everybody said that they created their own character, correct? Almost everybody here has your own persona. The youngsters out here created your own persona. Can one of the youngsters come up here, please? Young lady, can you come up? Please, yeah, you. Yes, come on up here. Come on up here. Is this your first furry convention? It is, welcome. Welcome, I'm gonna shake your hand. What is your name?
Sophia.
Sophia, and how old are you?
10.
You are 10 years old. Welcome to Megaplex. What is your character?
I don't have one.
You don't have one? Do you have an idea of the character you want to create?
Some kind of dragon.
You like dragons?
I love dragons.
You love dragons. What kind of a dragon? What color?
White with another color. I'm still thinking of it.
Still thinking, but mostly white with another color. Okay. Can you describe the personality of this dragon?
Nice.
Nice. What does this dragon like to do?
Be nice to people.
Is it a playful dragon?
Yes.
Very playful. Does this dragon have hobbies?
No.
Does it like to collect anything? Does it like collecting shiny things?
No.
No, so it doesn't collect anything. Does it like to run or fly?
Just run.
Just run. Okay. So we have a dragon that's mostly white, that's very nice, that likes to play and likes to run. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. And where do you go to school, by the way?
Well, I'm switching to another school. Renaissance Charter School.
Renaissance Charter School. So big shout out to all the kids that are going to Renaissance Charter School. Thank you so much. I want all of you to notice something about this character that was just being described. This character is nice. This character is positive. This character doesn't seem to have any preconceived problems of the world. This character that she described does not know racism, does not know bigotry, does not know hate, does not know anger, does not know how to be mean. This character that this young lady is describing is pure. It is coming from her brain, her imagination, and it's her idea of what the characters of the world should be. And in my estimation, my opinion, that's the way the world should be. The characters that we create, when you put a costume on, or you create these characters, all of a sudden, race doesn't matter, religion doesn't matter, your gender doesn't matter. All that matters is, it's the animal that you think you could be. It's the most positive thing in the world. And I don't know any other fandom, any other group of people that create characters that automatically lose all of the problems we have in society today. We create this imaginary, wonderful world, this universe of things that just want to get along. That, to me, is one of the pieces of real magic. We talk about the greatest escape, the magic of the stage production. This is the magic of the imagination. This is the magic of what you can make the world and what furry conventions can add to the world. And it sounds really hokey, and I know it comes across sometimes as really hokey, but I want you to actually take a moment at some point during the convention to think about it. What if the world really was the way furry conventions and furry critters were created to be? What if this world started espousing the idea that people of every different species, no matter what, could come together and coexist and play video games and have artwork drawn and not care what you looked like, not care about the problems that the world has. All they care about is liking each other and making friends. That, my friends, is what the furry fandom to me is all about. And I hope that we can make the world a little bit of a better place with it. So, again, thanks a lot for sharing your idea of what the world could be. And I hope all of us can share our idea of the way the world can be as well. The last thing that I'm going to mention, and then I'll take questions from you, is a description of what the furry fandom is. Because a lot of people always ask us, what is all this? Who are you people? God, you're weird. What's going on here? How many of you have ever gotten that? How many of you know an answer to that? A good one. Not just an answer, but a good one. I'm going to give you mine, and you can use it if you want, because I don't care. I share it. To know who a furry is, you need to know who a furry was. When we were in school, we were the fat kid that never got picked at recess. We were the skinny kid that always got picked on after school. We were that brainy kid that everybody wanted to cheat off of on tests and wanted to have help during school, but never got invited to parties. We were that person who craved social interaction and all the super popular people ignored us. We were people who only wanted to find acceptance, and the place where we found friendship and acceptance was the warm, smiling, happy faces of the cartoon characters that we saw on television. We went home. They were our friends. They understood us, and we understood them. That's who we were. Who are we today? We're simply people who never forgot our childhood friends. To me, that's who furries really are. And if you can relate that to a person, if they can understand that Scooby-Doo might still be your best pal, that Dora the Explorer might be one of your best friends that runs around with you after school, if somewhere there's an animal character that you relate to, whether it's SWAT cats, or dinosaurs, or Hong Kong Phooey, or any Yogi Bear, Scooby-Doo, Mickey Mouse, Bugs Bunny, if these are your, Zootopia, if these are your friends, and people can understand that you simply never forgot that they were your friends, they will get what furry is. So That's my definition of furry. If you want to take it, go for it. Does anybody have any questions about furry conventions or your first FurryCon experience? Yes? I'm going to run over to you because I can't hear since you're in fursuit. I'm going to run over here and I'm going to see what your question is. And I have foot problems, so I'm sorry I walk slowly. Yes? Shy?
Well, my first question is, I am very new to, not to the fandom, but to going to the convention. Where can you, start? Where to begin?
Where to begin? So, good question. Why don't you come on up here? Come on up front with me. You're gonna be one of my new friends. And we're gonna introduce you to some people. We're gonna figure out together where to start at a furry convention. This is a great question. So first, how old are you?
I'm 17.
You are 17. Where do you go to school?
I go to Gulf High in Newport Richey.
Gulf High in Newport Richey. And what is your character name?
My character name is Kate Doggo.
Kate Doggo. I like the name Doggo. That's a fun name. So Kate Doggo wants to know where to start at a furry convention. How many of you have had the same kind of a thought? What do I do? Where do I start? So I have been going to furry conventions again since 1999. When I first started, one of the things I did was I looked at the con book and saw the schedule. Now, today we have apps and we have other things that you can look at that are more updated. But one of the things I would recommend is take a look at the schedule and find things that interest you. Go to those panels and find other people that are interested in the same things. It's a great way to start building a friendship base, so you can start meeting other people that are interested in the same things as you. You can also go to the fursuit dance or dances. That's another fun place to meet other people that might be into fursuiting. You can also kind of go through the dealer's room, and if you see artists that have artwork that you like, you might want to ask, hey, do you have a discussion group about the characters that you created? And you can meet those people and talk with them online later. But those are some of the things you can do is start going to panels or find a couple of panels. Go to some social events or dances. How many of you know that we're going to have a dessert social later today? You do? And you don't have to be in fursuit for that because we're going to feed you lots of sweets. We're going to feed you lemonade and lots of fun cakes and things. That's also a place to socialize. And you can meet, along with your parents, if your parents want to be around, you can meet other people. There are some special meet and greets for youngsters, for people under 18. You can go to things like that. But those are things I would suggest. And then also, when you are walking around, the hotel has lots of pens and notepads. You might want to keep one either in your back pocket or somewhere where you can write something down. And if you meet somebody and you want to email them or contact them later, you can write down their contact information or their email address so you can speak with them after the convention and you can start building friendships that way. Sound good? So do those sound like things that might be things you could do?
Well, I was going to actually head to the dealer's den when it was less people.
So the dealer's den is kind of crowded, but yes, you can head to the dealer's den and check out stuff there. And there is a former guest of honor here. Her name is Mary Mouse. Mary sells things that are very inexpensive. They're called certified tags. You can become certified good dog. You can become certified golden retriever. If you really like tigers, you can be certified white tiger, certified orange tiger. You could be certified scientist. She has I think 300 options. And they only cost a couple of bucks. They're what, like $5? $5. Yeah, $5 for a little tag that has really cute artwork on it. And as you're walking around with other people, if you see other Mary Mouse tags, it's a great way to kind of introduce yourself. So that's something. And also, there are one thing that a lot of people don't recognize. If you walk through the dealer's room, when I talked about gender equality, there's a lot of cool lady artists that are here. You actually don't realize just how many ladies are into drawing in the fandom. And I think it's super cool that people can say, hey, if she can do it, so can I. I think that's really cool. So you can actually get drawing tips from them too if they have time to talk.
That feels great because I am an artist. I actually am learning force and gesture. And from what I believe, I feel a lot of artists should do learn force and gesture.
Cool. Yes. So lots, and there's drawing panels here too, so you can learn how to draw, how to sculpt, do all kinds of things. So does that answer some questions?
Yes, it does.
Okay, good. Well, thank you so much, Kate Doggo. And wave to everybody here. There we go. So you go ahead and go back and sit down. Okay, cool. And yes, did you have a question? I'm walking back with Kate. Did you have a question as well, though? Yes, you do. Okay, I'm coming back. I walk slow, but I'll get there. Okay, and your question is?
Hi, my name is Tempest Cupcake, and I'm on the autism spectrum. Is it easier for a person like me to get lost around the convention, especially if you don't know anyone here in the convention?
So, thank you for that question. I'm sorry, what was your name? Tempest Cupcake. So Tempest is on the autism spectrum. And I actually applaud you for talking about that publicly. A lot of people are very embarrassed to talk about that. So thank you for sharing that. And Tempest said, if I'm walking around, is it easy for me to get lost, to kind of feel maybe a little more isolated because I don't know how to interact with people? Being in fursuit kind of helps break down that wall a little bit. So that's a great, I wouldn't say it's a crutch, but it's a great door opener. If you start feeling lost or you feel overwhelmed, one of the easiest things in the world to do is find a Megaplex staffer and tell them, hey, I'm sorry to bother you. I'm on the autism spectrum. I'm getting a little overwhelmed. Can you help me get to the zoo? Or can you help me get someplace where I can get a drink of water or something? Or can someone just talk to me for a minute? You'll be surprised. Most staffers, if they feel that you're in distress, will stop and talk to you, unless they're really in the middle of something and they can't. You'll also be surprised at just how many people here will stop and talk to you if you just say hello and say, hey, I really like your t-shirt. Where'd you get it? There are very easy ways of starting a conversation like that, and I know sometimes it feels hard to do that. Believe it or not, when I first started, I was terrified of talking to people. I was probably the most introverted person you will ever meet. I was super quiet. I never went out anywhere. I went to my first furry convention, and the reason why is because actually I had a costume. I had developed a Hong Kong Fooey costume, because he was my favorite cartoon character, and I was a puppeteer. And I liked both of them because nobody had to see me. I could actually talk to people and hide. And over the course of time, I learned to not need the costume and not need the puppet. That I could just talk to people face to face. But it's a way to start. So if maybe puppetry might be an interesting way also. If you find a puppet that you like, you can walk around outside of costume with the puppet sitting on your arm and have the puppet talk to people if they find it cute and they want to interact with it. If you're in costume, interact with people in costume. That's another fun way. Yeah, and it looks like you are too. I can see you're very outgoing, in your gestures when you were talking to me. But if you're out of costume and you're feeling overwhelmed, you can always reach out to a staffer, or like I said, you could try to start a conversation with someone just about maybe a button they're wearing, or a tag. If they have a badge and you like the artwork, you could just ask them, hey, who drew that? That's really cool, I want to get one. How can I get one? That's an easy way to start the conversation, and it may not feel as stressful. Does that help a little bit? Okay, cool. Helps a lot. Good. And you can always reach out to me if I'm not busy. Unfortunately, I am almost always stuck either in this room or under a puppet stage or something to that nature. But if you're feeling overwhelmed and I'm not busy, I'm always available if you can find me to talk. Okay? And you'll find, like I said, a lot of staffers are too. Yes? An ATM. I think, and I may be wrong, I think there's one I know there's one in the lobby of the main lobby of the hotel. There might be one right at the very end of this hall. But if it's not out here, I know there's one in the lobby of the hotel. Yes. Is there any other question? Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. So his question is, he's an artist, and he's new to the community, and he wants to know what's the best thing that he could do to get something out of the community, how to interact. So there are many things that you can do. There are art jams, which are kind of fun. They're kind of haphazard and random, but you can just start drawing in the zoo and say, hey, are there any artists here? Do you want to do an art jam? And just kind of get together and start drawing. Some people will suggest a topic. Some people just do random things. You can always walk through the dealer's den, look at artists that really appeal to you and start talking to them. Artist Alley as well. When I say dealer's den, I talk about dealer's den and artist alley almost interchangeably. But you can reach out to the artists there. Art is a very, very important part of the furry community because it's very visual. We have to bring our ideas to life, and not all of us can draw. I'm great at stick figures, but that's about it. You're a writer. I'm actually a writer too. I'm a poet. But that's one way of doing things. Another really cool thing, it used to be really big in the fandom, it's not as big anymore, are sketchbook trades. Everybody used to carry around a sketchbook. And you would walk around, and if you saw somebody, you would say, hey, do you want to do an art trade real quick? And you'd be surprised, a lot of artists love doing that because you can get to meet up-and-coming artists, get tips from them, learn things about perspective, or, believe it or not, how to draw a tail. There's some people that don't get how to make certain things on animal characters look right, and other people are willing to share their tips. So those are some things that you can do that might help. Yes, you had a question? How do you get to Megaplex, like by transport? How do you get here? So there are a number of ways. I do not believe Lynx has a bus line that runs down here. Uber and Lyft, I personally use Lyft when I need to, are ways. There are ride shares. On our website, we have a ride sharing forum where if people are living in the same part of the city as you, they might be willing to pick you up. And it's also a great way to make friends. But if you're not willing to take a taxi, Uber and Lyft are good options. I don't think there's a really good Lynx line near here. The other thing is because this hotel has affiliations with Mears and with some of the transports, if there is a Mears transport that's running between a certain area and here, like the airport for instance, there are shuttles that can run around. So it really just depends on where you're coming from. But hopefully that helps a little bit. I wish I could give you a better answer than that. Orlando is not known for its public transport system, unfortunately. Anybody else have a question? Yes? How do you register? Actually, once you're on the website itself, there's just a discussion group for that. And we also have an app, or not an app, excuse me, a Telegram channel. And all you have to do is be on Telegram, and then there's a ride share as well as several other chats for things like that. Okay? Yes? What is the zoo? It's a good question, and it's something, again, fairly unique to the furry community. The zoo is a general hangout area. It's a place where, since there's not a central location in the lobby that's really connected to the convention space, we've carved out an area of convention space where you can go and sit and draw and talk and like grab one of the grab-and-go meals from there and sit down and eat. You can rest, maybe find a little quiet time. That's what the zoo is. It's a social zone. And it's someplace we don't allow sales, so you can't set up like a dealer's type thing in there. But you can meet up with friends there. If you say, hey, I want to do something at 4 o'clock, great, let's meet at the zoo. I'll be on the right side. And that's a great place for that. And sometimes people feel overwhelmed and they just need a place to go sit and be quiet for a little while. That's what it's there for too. Okay? Any other questions? Yes? So if you see a fursuiter who does not have a handler, like me, and you want to approach them, how do you do that? The easiest thing to do is kind of come up to them in their field of vision, to walk in front of them. If you want to take a photograph of them, the universal symbol is like an old camera with the clicker button. If you want a hug, can I get a hug? Like that. And if worse comes worse, just talk. Just like come up and say, hey, I really like your suit. Can I get a picture? Or, hey, I think I've seen you. Were you at X event? And they'll probably nod or shake their head. I think you're really cool. Can I get a hug? Do you have a Twitter account? Do you have someplace online where I can follow you? Things like that. Sometimes some suitors are very quiet about it. They don't want to do a lot of interaction. They're just doing it for themselves. That's perfectly fine. They'll usually just kind of say no or shake their hands. Most suitors, though, I hate to say it, we're attention hogs. We are looking for attention when we're in costume. We're doing everything we can to get pictures of us taken. So you'd be surprised just the number of fursuiters that will stand and pose for you and talk for you for a minute, if they talk in suit. If they don't, they'll gesture. You can ask them questions and they'll shake their head or nod. They'll yes or no. Does that work? Good. Any other questions? But furry conventions, furry fandom, furry anything? Yes?
So, for those of us who can't draw,
Mm-hmm.
and we see a picture we like, and we put a persona to it,
Mm-hmm.
how good or bad or
That's a fantastic question. That's a really good question. So to summarize, a person has drawn an original piece of artwork, an original character, and you really like it. Can you adopt it? That is actually bad form. That is something a lot of people do not allow. Now, there's a caveat there. There are artists, and they do this on Twitter or through social media of their choice. They create characters specifically for adoption. They actually sell them. You can adopt a character for like 30 bucks or 40 bucks or whatever from an artist. So if you follow a specific artist and they put up a thing saying, hey, I have 8 characters up for adoption and you like one of them, you can actually message them and negotiate the price, or if they tell you this is the price, you can say, I want that one, you pay it, and it's yours forever, in perpetuity. So you can do that. Now, if you see a character that you really like, and like I said, you can't necessarily adopt that character, you can go to an artist and say, hey, I saw something that I really like, I would like to have a character done that looks like this, and say, but I don't want it exactly like this. I want it to have this and this. I want to maybe change this color. I want to add a lightning bolt to it, or I want to put a star or a circle around the eye, something like that, to make it your own. That you can do, because that's original content creation. And believe it or not, most people don't realize, almost every artist uses other characters in reference to draw their characters. They just change them and adopt them. Even Disney uses real-life models and references to create new artwork. Most good artists do use reference. It's bad to do an exact copy, but it's okay to say, hey, I really like that bear, and I love the way it looks, but I want to change it a little bit. I want to make it a different color, or I want to add a special marking to it, or I maybe want it to have different ears, or I want it to be a bear with a dog tail, you know, something like that. That's perfectly acceptable to do, especially, like I said, if you're doing original creation in it. So that's a way of doing that. Does that help a bit? Good. Yes, ma'am. Yes. I'm coming. Coming down the aisle. It's like The Price is Right. Come on down.
You want me to help you with the mic?
No, I'm good. Thank you, though. I appreciate it. I actually need the exercise. And your name is Nova?
Yeah.
Okay, Nova, what is your question?
So my question is that I made the rookie mistake first convention of coming without a handler. How do I survive?
So a fursuiter came without a handler. How do you survive? With luck. No, I'm kidding. So you actually don't need a handler much anymore. It used to be that people really needed handlers because the way costumes used to be built a long time ago, and I'm talking 15, 20 years ago, the costumes were much more bulky. They were not as flexible, and they didn't use as light material. So people actually could get hurt very easily in them. Also, it used to be that the zippers were almost always in the back in old fursuits. I had one like that. You had to use a hanger. You would take a wire hanger, you would stretch it out, put the hook on the back, and zip it up. And you were typically stuck after that. If you needed to go to the bathroom, if you didn't have a hanger to unzip it down, you'd have to have someone unzip it and run off to your hotel room. Things are very different now. There are a lot of people around. Most costumes are much easier to get in and out of in an emergency. Most people are not as picky about popping the head in an emergency as we used to be. So if you don't have a handler, you can usually get along pretty easily. And if people start bugging you, again, get a security person and they'll help you get to a spot, and then they'll deal with the people bugging you. Okay? Any other questions? Running around? Anybody else? Yes, behind me. Yes. So this is a two-pronged question. So it's a very good one. What would be good to put in an emergency kit for a convention? And I'm going to put the caveat out here because it's different for fursuiters and non-fursuiters. For fursuiters, an emergency kit usually involves needle and thread, maybe a little scrap of fur in case you have a rip or something, bottled water, maybe some Gatorade mix that you can put into a bottle of water, shake it up, and get your electrolytes up pretty quickly. Things like that. Also, for general attendees, and then this is where, like I said, that caveat for fursuiters is different. For general attendees who are not in fursuit, one of the great things you can put in your room for an emergency kit, granola bars, snack bars that have protein in them, like nuts, trail mix, things like that, something you can snack on. A little thing of goldfish crackers, or those little crackers that have peanut butter in the center, something you can snack on real quick if your electrolytes or sugar levels go down. You want to have some water or Gatorade in your room. If you really want Gatorade, but you don't want to pay the super high price, you can get bottles of water, and then you can get the little mixes. So you can actually make Gatorade as needed. The little sandwiches that people have that are prepackaged are great. My roommate actually has a box of Pop-Tarts in case he has an emergency and just needs to snack on something. I keep a thing of cashews. I have some Chex Mix. I have some cashew bars and things like that. And I'm really bad. I also have a thing of Milano cookies. Okay, I'm sorry. I love Milano cookies. But you want to have some little snacks that will help that are healthy. That's why I have a lot of nuts and a lot of like water and things to put my electrolytes back on track. You want to have something like that in your room that is not a substitute for a good meal, but that is a good way to avoid feeling ill. Also fresh fruit, apple, banana, orange, pear, things like that. Things that have a skin on them so you don't have to worry about them like going bad. Like if you slice a watermelon up, you leave it out, it's gonna get grody real quick. Most of the hotel rooms have refrigerators, so you can get, like from Publix, which is just down the road, a little thing of fresh fruit that's been chopped up, although it's a little pricey. But you can get like grapes and bananas and chop them up yourself, and that's really cool. So that's one of the things that I would have. Also, make sure you have a way of charging your phone, because a lot of people bring their phones but they forget their chargers. So you want to make sure you have a phone charger with you. Yep, battery packs. Yep, charging case. Things like that are pretty important. Other things that you might want to include in kind of like an emergency kit, put an emergency contact list together on paper in case something happens and you don't have a way of actually talking. There's a thing where, in case of emergency, please contact X people. That would probably be a good idea. Make sure you have, if it's a real emergency kit, you'd have your insurance information, both medical and driving. However, whatever is necessary for you, that's a good thing to have, and that kind of a thing as well. The other thing that I would suggest, and this sounds really dumb, but in a sealed plastic bag, put in a t-shirt, probably like a toothbrush, and like any other extra medication that you might need. Things from a health and medical perspective, like in case something happens and you are on medication, have an extra supply of it in an emergency pack that you can get to relatively quickly, especially if you have things like glucose control, things for kidney control, things like that. It's really important to have your medication available quickly. Yes?
I just want to add to that, if you're on prescriptions, you should have a list of your prescriptions.
Excellent. Yes, if you are on prescriptions, have a list of your prescriptions in case something happens and a pharmacist needs to get an emergency supply to you really quickly. Yes, it's a great idea. Any other questions? We're almost out of time. Yes?
Where's your wristwatch from?
Where is my wristwatch from? So this wristwatch was a gift from my mother for Christmas many, many years ago. So I don't know exactly, I mean, it was bought in Houston, but I don't know exactly where. But I really like it. I'm big on statement watches, and this is one of my favorites. So I tend to wear it. It's not super expensive, I know, but I really like it because Mom gave it to me. I'm a sentimental guy that way. Anything else? All right. Well, I hope all of you enjoy your first Furry Con. If you have another question, just come on up and talk to me, because we're just about out of time. But I hope all of you have a great time, and thanks for coming to Megaplex. Oh, yes. Actually, forgot. Before you leave, since you're a first-time attendee, we have a special ribbon for you that says, I'm a first-time attendee. If you would like one, please come on up, and we have a staffer here who will give them out to you. Put that right on your bag.